Hello, everyone. Welcome to the State of the Mushroom 2025. I'm so excited about all the amazing things happening in the world of mushrooms right now, and I'm excited to be part of it. So I just wanted to sit down today to share with you kind of a quick recap of this past year and some of the really amazing things we're getting involved in this year, and a few of our fun learning things that are on the table, and et cetera, et cetera. So first off, this will be the first of my fungi fireside chats, and I'm planning on doing this bi-weekly for the foreseeable future, where every session we'll just sit down and talk about an awesome mushroom-related topic. Some weeks that might be how to cook with mushrooms, some weeks that might be wild mushroom research for wellness or restoring the planet's ecosystem, or talking to how to teach about mushrooms or how to dive into a mushroom related business. So I really want to make that just a way to make all wonderful mushroom knowledge accessible to people. So we will be doing this, aiming to do it on either Tuesdays or Thursdays typically. That's going to shift a little bit depending on event schedule stuff as we get into the year here. But that's the plan for now. So definitely make sure you're subscribed, stay tuned, pay attention so you can see what we've got coming up next, and make sure you dive in, and there will be the ability to participate in a live Q&A session at the end of each of those talks. So yes, definitely be part of our fungi fireside chats. So, all right. So this past year has been wild and wonderful. We've been traveling all over the place. I've been speaking on mushroom growing, doing mushroom cooking demos. I got to go to the Michigan Science Center and show people show kids, some very awesome kids, how to make no-bake cookies, like those chocolate no-bake cookies, but using mushrooms instead of chocolate, and they taste like chocolate. It's absolutely amazing. So that was really fun. This past year, well, in 2023, I started getting involved with the Central Market at Greenfield Village at the Henry Ford. But this year I got a lot more involved, and it's really neat. They have the original produce pavilion from Detroit's Eastern Market that was moved over to Greenfield Village and beautifully restored. And so they do an event or a weekend once a month where they have just really awesome vendors and farmers from all over Michigan with their goods. They have chefs doing live cooking demos. That's organized by a nonprofit called Soil to Service. Soil to Service is very involved in connecting chefs and farmers and humans with amazing food, and they own the Detroit Institute of Gastronomy. This past summer, I joined the board of directors for Soil to Service, and this fall I was elected president of Soil to Service. So I have really took a deep dive in with them, and I just love working with them, the amazing things they do. We just got our accreditation so that we are now the only apprenticeship-based culinary program where you can become a chef and get an associate's degree at the same time. So really cool program. Make sure to go to dig.edu, that's dig.edu, to check that out, because it's really exciting. And it's a great opportunity for anyone who wants to dive into food. And so then I've been getting really into mycoremediation, which is the process of using fungi to clean out pollutants, contaminants, and toxins from land and water. My particular focus is on the Rouge River watershed, which spans a huge number of communities in Southwest Michigan. That includes the Detroit River, which feeds into, the Rouge River, which feeds into the Detroit River. And that area has been heavily contaminated by industrial waste for a very long time. And so I'm targeting my efforts there for now, with a vision to ultimately use the techniques that we're exploring and developing to restore contaminated waterways throughout the Great Lakes Basin and ultimately create a lasting future for the Great Lakes. So that's a really big focus for me. We're starting out by doing a fungal survey where we're going through the region and finding as many mushroom specimens as possible so we can actually DNA sequence those and identify the very best mushrooms in the area to use for that process, so that we're actually using native species of mushrooms instead of, bringing in other mushrooms from different regions where they may actually compete with local ecosystems. So that's my research deep dive and work right now that I'm very passionate about it and very excited about it. So if that's something you care about, that you're excited about, that you're interested in, like, send me a note. I love talking about it. Love suggestions, ideas. Another piece of that is I really want to use these processes to work on the brownfields in Detroit and regenerate that land so that it can be clean and usable, whether that's for homes or businesses or gardens. I would love to see more community garden or urban agriculture opportunities on really clean land. And I think this is a great way to get there. So diving into that a lot with Saving the Planet with Mushrooms, definitely my jam. The next thing is giving people hands-on mushroom growing skills to create greater food security and help people be able to start their own micro businesses. This past year, in addition to teaching all over America, I worked with 2 different programs, one in Uganda and one in Madagascar, where they're learning how to grow mushrooms for food and how to work with locally available resources. So they can do, like in Uganda, they're growing mushrooms on banana leaves, like dried banana leaves, and it works great. Turns out oyster mushrooms love banana leaves. The other thing is, exploring the techniques you need to use to combat, more complicated climates, like where it's always going to be really, really hot every day. Certain mushrooms will not grow once you get past a certain temperature. And so then you're identifying different types of mushrooms that are suitable for that. For instance, lion's mane mushrooms, typically they prefer to be like 75 degrees or lower. Once they hit 80 degrees, they're going to start being fussy about growing, and they might colonize all the way, but you won't get mushrooms growing out of it. So, then there's heat tolerant lion's mane, which you can use, and those will fruit mushrooms up to 100 degrees. So I'm working on a guide for growing mushrooms in different climates and working with locally available resources. And I think that's going to be really helpful to make it so that people, no matter what their situation is, no matter what kind of weather system they're in, can jump in and easily grow mushrooms that, they can feed their families. If they want to start a market business or something, they could do that. So that's one of my projects right now. And the other thing that, this is just like the tip of the iceberg. I really don't know a whole lot about it yet. But they're starting to use mushrooms to generate electricity. And I'm fascinated. I know nothing, but I am fascinated. So I'm sure you'll be hearing from me some ponderings, tinkerings, and whatever on earth I find about that very soon. So we've worked with a bunch of different universities, educational programs, garden clubs, and I've gotten to go speak all over the place, help with workshops, show people how to grow their mushrooms. I love doing that. If you were one of those people, like, please send us pictures of how your mushrooms turned out, or tell me how it's going. Like, I love hearing about it. I'm excited to connect with a lot of you again this year. And so last thing for 2024 is, for 2024, I was one of Mother Earth News's voices. So that gave me the opportunity to teach and speak even more. I've written for them for the past 2 years and just love doing that. They sell our kits. I also wrote a column for Grit magazine where we talked about all kinds of different techniques for promoting your small farm business and making it profitable. So doing a lot of fun stuff with that, but there's some really cool articles going over that, and can always get notes from me if you have questions about that. Always send me a note. So coming up on this year, we've got some cool stuff on the table. We're getting ready to do a mushroom growing for homesteaders workshop session online. Preface this with, for winter, we're doing our workshops online. We're doing a bunch of really cool interactive live workshops, doing it online. I live in a very, very rural area. Right now it's drivable. I'm looking out here, I'm like, I can drive that. But like, sometimes it is so snowy and icy and frozen mud that leaving the house is not something that's really on the menu. So we just decided this year we're going to do for winter, it's going to be online, interactive. There's always a live Q&A session. You can, show me your bucket and ask questions and do all this stuff. So we've got that going, and these are the workshops we have coming up. We'll be listing these either tonight or tomorrow so you can register. And we will be putting a cap on how many people can register per session. But if we max out one session and there's enough demand, we would add a second one. But I would recommend, if you see one you want to do sign up for it as soon as you can, so that you can get in for sure, just in case it's not one that we're able to rerun for a little while. So starting off, we're going to be doing a homesteading mushroom growing workshop. We're going to be going over all the wonderful mushrooms you can grow, you can kind of work into your existing homesteading setup, possibly using materials and supplies you have already on hand, how to preserve those mushrooms, great ways, we're going to talk about canning, dehydrating, maybe some freeze drying. We'll see. I don't know yet if we're going to be able to fit freeze drying into that. If not, we'll do another session. But so we're doing that. That one's going to be really cool. And we're also, in that one, we'll talk a little bit about the business side. If you're a homesteader who's into, maybe you have a farmer's market booth or you're looking into doing a market garden. Then the next one we're going to be doing is our Kids Mushroom Explorers Club. And we're going to do, that'll be a multi-session thing, and you can sign up your kids. It's open to all ages, kind of like recommended 7 to 14 years old is like a good age range for what we're targeting that at. But younger or older kids are still going to be able to get really into it. I would just say younger kids are probably going to want to have like a parent there to help them with the steps, just to make it doable and help them stay on task. But it's going to be really cool. Each kid will get to grow their own mini mushroom bucket and learn all about amazing mushroom things, discover a little bit about mycelium and how it's the underground network of the forest, and learn cool things about like how trees communicate with their seedlings through that, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's going to be really cool. That's our Kids Mushroom Explorers Club. That will be up. And then we're doing a mushroom growing for survival, so that if you're like a prepper or you're really into just making sure you are stocked up for any situation, this one's for you. And we're going to talk about, developing your own mushroom culture bank so that you could easily, just have a nice store of the right mushroom cultures to grow adaptably in whatever scenario pops up. If you need to suddenly produce some food quickly, or, you're in a different situation where you need to be able to grow mushrooms indoors or outdoors or whatever. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through how to preserve what you grow, how to grow in weird spaces, how to grow with whatever materials you can find. If you're bunkered down and don't have a bale of straw, here's some other stuff you can use. So we're going to dive into all that. That's going to be really cool. So that'll be our mushroom growing for survival workshop. And we'll talk a little bit in that as well about tinctures and extracts for well-being. So that will be really cool. And then we also will be doing, in the Fireside chats, I'm definitely going to be doing a couple cooking sessions in there. So that's going to be really cool. And I think there's one more session that I'm totally blanking on, but you should stay tuned and look at our latest events. We'll be posting those either tonight or tomorrow, but definitely keep an eye on that. So I'm just checking my notes here to make sure I covered everything. Our resource